The January 26, 2011 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will now come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Andrews. Mr. Barker. Here. Chairman Daniele.
Here.
Mr. Esposito. Here. Mr. Haney. Here. Mr. Hyder. Mr. McCann. Here. Mr. O'Brien. Here. Dr. Quattro is excused. Mr. Tucciarello. Here. Mr. Yolovich.
Are there any speakers signed up for the public forum this evening?
There are no speakers signed up this evening.
And is there anyone present who did not sign up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have before you the minutes from the January 5th, 2011 meeting in front of you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day today. I'd like to take a moment to welcome Legislator Esposito to our committee. Today will be the first day to the Ways and Means. If we move too fast for you, just call a timeout. We'll slow down, and any questions you have, we'll certainly. All right, you're very welcome, Legislator. No mercy heard. Next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 11-4, acceptance of a grant from New York
Moved by
State.
Legislator Yolovich, seconded by Legislator Barker. Are there any questions? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-5, authorize intermunicipal.
Moved by Legislator Barker, seconded by Legislator McCann. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
Referral 11-6, authorize intermunicipal.
Moved by Legislator McCann, seconded by Legislator Adair. Are there any questions? Legislator Yolovich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I neglected to ask this the other night at Public Safety, and it just it's sort of a curiosity more than anything else. I noticed that there's 7 counties, Lab Director Seacrest, if she's here. She's here. I noticed that there's seven counties on this list. Is there room for more? Because we have the new lab opening and everything else.
Through the chair, Janet Anderson, Sequest Laboratory Administrator, yes, we would entertain partnerships with other counties if there's interest.
Is that profitable for our county?
It's through the chair. It's not only profitable, but the county would gain in the experience level of the analysts that are currently in the laboratory, and it would give us the opportunity to expand into other disciplines.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator Haney.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the same question I always ask every year. Are we doing, are these contract amounts, do they represent a full cost recovery for us? I mean, are we recovering all of our costs so that the taxpayers of Monroe County aren't subsidizing the Genesee County taxpayers at all?
Through the chair, we are receiving all the funds to cover the services that we are providing.
So these are full cost recovery contracts? We aren't subsidizing the contracts at all?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-7, acceptance.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Again, through you, Mr. Chairman, how does our current backlog in this area compare to what it was a year ago?
Through the chair, our current backlog at the beginning of this month was just over 1,500 cases, so 1,516. So it's well over, I believe, 100 to 150 cases less than last year.
150 less than last year?
Correct.
Good. What is it possible to project with this grant where we might be a year from now?
We're targeting with this grant project, because besides bringing funding for overtime and another position to the laboratory, the state is providing a fully trained analyst to help in addition. So one of the goals of the grant is to decrease backlog by up to 80% in the grant cycle.
So that the backlog would drop by 80%?
That's the goal, yes.
Great.
It's very
Thank you.
progressive.
And by grant cycle, you mean 2 years?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-8, acceptance of a grant.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-9, acceptance of a
Moved by
grant.
Legislator Yolovich, seconded by Legislator Barker. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
Referral 11-10, acceptance of a grant from the New
Moved
York
by
State.
Legislator Barker, seconded by Legislator McCann. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the grant is for $1,034,000, and there's expenditures of about, well, $20,000 to MCC and $150 to RIT. What is the other $850,000 going to be used for?
Through the chair, Fred Ryan with Monroe County Office of Emergency Management. The other dollars will be used for various equipment purchases, and I do have a list here if you would like to see what those purchases are.
No, you needn't read it now, but if it could be distributed to us before Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Through the chair, yes.
This is equipment the county is going to own?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-11, acceptance of a grant. from
Moved by
the New York-
Legislator McCann, seconded by President Adair. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Again, through you, Mr. Chairman, what is this money going to be used for?
Through the chair, the dollars for this particular program will also be used for equipment purchases for law enforcement as well as other programs for law enforcement.
Like what?
Through the chair, there will be overtime costs covered for training and exercises for law enforcement as well as those equipment purchases.
Do all the police forces in the county participate in this, or most of them? Or is it limited to the sheriff's office?
Through the chair, all are able to participate in this particular grant program.
Okay.
We open it up to them.
So as they incur these overtime costs, it'll be parceled out to them?
Through the chair, the budgeting for this particular grant program this year, only the Sheriff's Department has come forward with the projects. So the dollars for this particular program this year are only going towards Monroe County Sheriff's Department projects, but other law enforcement agencies are allowed to come to the table, but this year have not.
Okay. Now, when we buy equipment with this, and I guess the preceding one, who takes possession of that equipment? Where?
Through the chair, Jennifer Curley from the Sheriff's Office. Because I take most of the equipment, I'm going to answer the question on this. Once we receive the equipment, we fill out a form and we ask for authorization to own the equipment. We do not own it until the state signs off on that form. A lot of times I have to ask them to sign off on the form to get possession of the of whatever equipment we've purchased.
So through the chair, so all the equipment ends up in the possession of the sheriff's office?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, now, since the port, and this is since the port is entirely within the city of Rochester, both the east and the west banks, how does the equipment from does the city police department and the like have access to this, whatever this equipment is?
To the chair, in the past, they have requested funding from this particular grant. This year, they did not ask for any funding. I don't know why. They weren't at the meeting and didn't ask for anything.
Or do they have access to the equipment that you that
Oh,
you
yes,
possess
yes.
under
If
this
they
grant?
call us for an incident, we will respond.
Oh,
I know
okay.
they have used
Okay.
our boats.
For Tuesday night, I'd like to see what the spending plan is for this grant as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion on this matter? Being no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-12 acceptance.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-13 acceptance.
Moved
of
by
the
Legislator
grant.
Tucciarello, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
Referral 11-14 acceptance.
Moved by
of the
Legislator Yolovich, seconded by Vice President Barker. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-16 acceptance.
Moved by
of the-
Legislator Barker, seconded by Legislator McCann. Legislator O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And through you, if I'm correct, I think this project is actually located in that part of the park that is owned by or falls within the town of Arundecoit. I guess my question through you, Mr. Chairman, would be: is that true? And is the town fully up to speed and supportive of this particular project?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this portion of the park is county-owned property that's within the municipal boundaries of the town of Arundecoit. And the town of Arundecoit is up to speed and on board with this project.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion on this matter? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-17.
Moved by
authorize-
Legislator McCann, seconded by Legislator Adair. Is there any discussion? Legislator O'Brien.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Garland did a nice wrap-up in response to a lot of questions at EPW, which I was able to witness at the end of. I just have one kind of follow-up question through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Garland. And one of the things we talked about, that you talked about, was that ultimately there will be an amendment, although maybe somewhat pro forma in form, in an amended agreement with Waste Management as well as with this host agreement. And I'm curious as to whether or not that agreement, does that come back to the legislature, or is that already, or does that not need to come back to the legislature?
Through the chair, that does not need to come back through the legislature.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chairman, is that because when this body first approved the agreement, it was with that language that talked about, and this body giving the county executive the authority to enter into subsequent amendments?
Through the chair, that's my understanding.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Legislator Haney.
Mr. Chairman, we had an extensive and very informative discussion at Environment and Public Works, which I won't belabor now. To be consistent with my vote in Environment and Public Works, I'm going to vote no on this at this time, primarily because I think it's premature, and also because I'm concerned about the long-term financial impact on the Solid Waste Fund, which has been running multi-million-dollar deficits. And before I voted for this, I'd like to see a long-range financial plan for the Solid Waste Fund and how it's going to get out of deficit.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this matter? There being no further discussion, why don't we go to a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Ms. Andrews? Mr. Barker? Yes. Chairman Daniele?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito? Mr. Haney? Mr. Hyder? Yes. Mr. McCann? Yes. Mr. O'Brien? Yes. Dr. Quattro is excused. Mr. Tucciarello? Yes. Mr. Yolovich? Yes. President Adair? Yes. 10-1, motion passes.
Thank you. Next item.
Referral 11-18, authorize intermunicipal agreements with
Moved
other
by President
counties.
Adair, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I did some quick math on these county-by-county statistics to calculate the price per case that we are charging these other counties, and it varies tremendously. Allegheny County is going to be paying about $473 per case. Chemung County, on the other hand, is paying $1,170 per case. Why is there such a wide variation in what the counties pay per case?
Through the chair, I'm the medical examiner, Caroline Dignan. The contracts with each of the counties is different, and part of that is based on history. Each of the counties has different needs and different types of examinations that ultimately take place, and so the different amounts are based on that. So there is some difference through the chair.
Through the chair, when you say it's based on history, that frightens me. There's nothing worse than repetition. Are we sure? I mean, if it's worth it to us that Chemung should pay $1,170 a case, are we subsidizing and just because it's the first one on the list? Are we subsidizing the work we do for Allegheny County when we only charge them $473 a case?
Through the chair, absolutely not. What happens is different counties get different types of examinations. So, for instance, Chemung County gets a much more involved type of examination than Allegheny County, and therefore they are charged a higher fee for that. Also, it's not just one type of examination. We have a lot of additional testing that may get done, and those are all billed separately. So it's not just they're getting charged, but if there are additional tests such as x-rays or cultures or things like that, those are actually billed separately as a separate item for each county.
So what's driving the difference in per case cost is, to use a hospital term, case mix?
Yes, through the chair. The type of examinations that get done, the background work that also has to happen.
Okay. So we are recovering all of our costs?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Through the chair, just when I say based on history, before these contracts were proposed, we went back and looked at the history that we had with each of the counties, the types of examinations that were done, the ancillary testing, and that's how we came up partly with these figures. Through the chair.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
Referral 11-19, authorize a contract.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Vice President Barker. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, knowing a little bit about electronic billing systems, $50,000 is an awfully low price for a full medical record system. Is this truly a full electronic medical record?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it is. There is a lot of activity, a lot of business activity going on in this field. It's become quite competitive, and the prices have come way down. So we're competing, or we're buying in a market where many physicians' practices are buying this kind of product, and this is a very, very good price, but it is not way out of line with what other primary care practices are seeing these days.
Really? Now, are you buying it with a billing component?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, it includes the practice management system, which is the billing component, plus the electronic medical record.
So you're getting a practice management system and a full electronic medical record system for $50,000?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, we are.
I know some people that would love to have you do their negotiating for them, I'll tell you that. I know of one outfit, it's bigger than this, but not totally incomparable, that just paid about $1 million for a system like this.
We'll make sure to get you the doctor's contact information. You can pass it on. How's that sound? Is there any further discussion on this matter? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-20.
Moved by legislator Yolovich, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-21.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator McCann. Is there any discussion? Legislator O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not, maybe this is taken up in transportation, and the Department of Transportation has done a great job keeping us apprised of the status of this project. But I'm just wondering if very briefly, through you, Mr. Chairman, we could get a few remarks on the anticipated timeline for this project.
Yes, through the chair, Scott Leathersich with Monroe County Department of Transportation. Yeah, project is anticipated to start spring of 2012.
Thank you. And through you, what's the anticipated completion date?
Through the chair, we hope it's a 1 year, but we think it's going to be a 2-year construction. Would carry into 2013.
Okay, thank you.
Legislator Esposito.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. To follow up Legislator O'Brien's questions to the administration, is there any possibility at this point in time that there could still be changes in federal funding availability to move the project up, or is it hard and fast for next spring?
Through the chair, at this point in time, it's very unlikely we could move it up, but by asking for permission to advertise at this time, should funding become available, we hope we could accelerate things, possibly have things out to bid by late this year, but it still would probably realize a spring 2012 construction.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any other further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-22. Authorization.
Moved by legislator McCann, seconded by legislator Barker. Legislator Haney.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just out of personal interest, I get confused by all the different ponds down in Greece. Is Round Pond the one behind the old Odenbach shipbuilding factory, behind the Water Authority plant on Dewey Avenue? Is that Round Pond?
Through the chair, no. This Round Pond is between. Oh, I'm sorry, it is. It's Dewey and between Dewey and Island
Right.
Cottage. I'm sorry.
Okay. Is that bridge originally, I mean, there's a lot of interesting history here. That bridge was actually a removable bridge because of the Odenbach shipbuilding. During the war, they built hundreds of landing craft there. And the bridge originally had the capability of being removed so they could sail out into the lake. Is the bridge still, does the bridge still have that capacity?
Through the chair, no. The
Okay.
current bridge and the future bridge would not.
Okay. And I assume it's going to be a fixed bridge now?
Through the chair, correct.
Yep. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Last item.
Referral 11-23. Amend the 2011.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, what were the original construction estimates? The low bid is $1.8 million. What was the pre-bid estimate?
Through the chair, the pre-bid estimate was $2,064,000.
Okay. Now, with the construction bids coming in 200,000 under estimate, why do we need to increase, what's driving up the cost of the project that we have to approve additional funding?
Through the chair, since we were first awarded the $1.1 million towards this project, the State Department of Transportation informed us that through savings of other stimulus projects, an additional $432,000 was available for this effort. So we want to increase the capital fund to take advantage of that so that other projects, other county-funded projects within this capital fund can remain whole.
So is this are we replacing $430,000 of county money in this project with $430,000 of federal money? Is that what you're saying? Or is there going to be additional projects added into this capital fund?
Through the chair, there already were projects programmed into this capital fund, but by adding the federal money, we can lower the county commitment towards this particular project.
Okay. So, long-term, we're going to be able to do more work than we had anticipated doing? Is that?
Through the chair, correct.
Okay. And the capital fund is being increased by the amount of the additional federal funding?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before the committee at this time? There being no further business, the January 26, 2011 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting is scheduled for February 16th, 2011. Thank you.